What is up, guys, and welcome back to Tacos, Turbos, and Toothpicks. As you can see, we're going to talk turbos today. My name is Calvin, for those of you who don't know me. Just thought I'd put a little video together here for you guys who are just looking for a little more info
on how to build a Dodge Cummins Turbo Diesel, baby. Yeah.
So basically, drawing up here a little bit on the dry erase board just to help me with some notes so I don't forget. But I'm just going to start off by saying, guys, I'm not a professional. I'm not a dealer. I'm not sponsored. I'm basically just trying to help out those guys that I see get on Facebook. And I even have some comments on some old YouTube videos of just people who are getting into diesels. As well, before the video goes any farther, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm sure there's some of you guys that you already know some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. You already know the foundations of building a truck. You've built many of them, or your buddies have, and you've helped them out with that. You've already spent your money on good quality parts, and you know where to put your money and where not to put your money. I'll just be honest, this video is probably not for you. This video is geared more towards the noob that's getting into the game, or you know, maybe they've had a truck for a while and they've had it at 500 horsepower or whatever, and they're looking to upgrade even farther, and just give them some basic knowledge on where to start. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong. I'm not trying to bash anybody. You know, I'm not trying to say anybody's giving bad advice. I'm just trying to use my knowledge on this platform to help out somebody who doesn't have any idea where to start or what to do. You know, I see a lot of questions on Facebook that I think is avoidable with a video like this. You know, just trying to help point people in the right direction as far as, you know, what type of turbo to put in, or what size injectors, or do you need billet rods? Do you need, you know, a full manual valve body, stuff like that. Just trying to do videos like this where it can point people in the right direction, so they're not getting on Facebook and, you know, asking how big of an S400 do I need to go so I can tow 20,000 pounds every day of the week, and I want to have 600 horsepower. Like, that whole sentence just doesn't make sense. Like, if you're really trying to tow, then you should be looking into other options. But I feel like so many people do second gen swaps with these trucks that everybody thinks you have to do a second gen swap to make any power. Yes, they sound cool, they look cool, but they're also super expensive and kind of overkill if it doesn't meet your end power goals or what you're trying to actually do with the truck. And that's just a little touching the tip of the iceberg of what I'm trying to do with this video. So again, I don't want to bore anybody. You know, most of you guys probably know more about this stuff than I do. I'm just never found a video on YouTube to share this stuff with some of the guys who are asking questions like this. And so I'm literally just trying to make this so when somebody asks a question, I can just drop this in the comments, and you know, they can get as much knowledge as they want from the video. But again, if you want to stop by and learn some stuff, then feel free to check out the rest of the video. And if not, keep scrolling through, man. Keep going with your life on YouTube. I'm not going to judge you. I hope you don't judge me. So without further ado, let's get back to the originally scheduled videos. I'm going to get right into it. To me, there's three main things you should start off with. One is asking yourself, is it a toy or is it a tow vehicle? The great thing about diesels is they have the ability to be a fast, fun street truck, and they can also hook up to a trailer and tow, you know, landscaping trailer, a car trailer, camper, and vice versa. It can be kind of versatile in doing those things, which is one of the reasons I find them extremely cool versus building a car or a street bike or something like that. But it is expensive to play in this game, and that's something that I want to talk about in the build process. So basically, once you figure that out, you've got the 3 words to live by when you're building anything. I discovered this on a Cummins forum years and years ago, and it's something that sometimes I even have to remind myself about. Fast, reliable, and cheap. You can combine any 2 of those together, but it's pretty much impossible to get all 3 from what I've figured out. You can have a fast, reliable vehicle, but it's not going to be cheap to build it. You can have reliable and cheap, but it's probably not going to be the fastest without throwing a bunch more money into parts. And you can have fast and cheap, but it is going to be anything but reliable if you throw some Chinese war whistles on there from eBay and just tighten down your stock head bolts. You know, you got to throw some hard parts into these things to make them reliable. So just to touch on that real quick, if you guys scroll back to my old videos of my old black truck, basically I didn't have a tow rig. I wanted to race my truck. It was kind of a toy where I had a daily driver, but I still needed it reliable enough to get me to and from to the track, race, and be able to get me home safely. So I needed a reliable and a fast truck. I built it to about 700-800 horsepower to run 770. I know it's not crazy fast, but to me, once you get over that 1,000 horsepower mark, you start getting into spending a lot of money that I just didn't want to invest into. I was going for more of the fast and reliable, and now, as you can see in my videos, now I have a 2006 Mega Cab that was bone stock when I bought it a little over a month ago. I would say maybe it's coming up on 2 months, but basically I wanted a clean slate to build the truck the way I want to tow the new camper that me and my girlfriend just bought to travel the country with. So now that it's going to be more of a tow rig, I'm looking for reliable and on the cheaper side. I mean, I'm not going cheap with the build or the quality of parts, but you know, I'm not spending a bunch of money on turbos and all that. I just want a good, clean 500 to 600 horsepower build. So it is on the cheaper side. So I'm more on the reliable and cheap side now, and not really worried so much about being fast and, you know, racing 770 or 670. Just a good, clean tow rig. So we get down in here into the foundation of pretty much any build I believe you need to start with. If you go on an old forum or a Facebook post, anytime you ask where you should start, pretty much everybody's going to point you in this direction. You want to have your exhaust done, an intake, so that helps your engine breathe and get better fuel mileage, as well as being able to move all the air for more horsepower, basically. And then gauges, obviously, is just, it's one of those boring things that you have to spend your money on without seeing any performance benefits, but it's still something that you need to monitor your EGTs, your boost, your trans temp, you know, all that good stuff that your truck can't monitor by itself just on the dash. It just helps to have those numbers, like, you know, in your face at all times, so you know what's going on. Something you can keep an eye on so you don't ruin those parts that you've invested your money into and you don't want to ruin, aka your transmission, turbo, engine, stuff like that. If you're one of those people that need your truck every day or every week, you know, you gotta maintain it and make sure those things stay in check. Whether you go with some pod gauges or touchscreen or both, you know, digital gauge, whatever you want to go with, it really doesn't matter. It's a personal preference. Me personally, I've just ordered the CTS3 to mount in my 06, just because the simplicity of having everything on one monitor is a lot easier than having each separate gauge for something in the truck. So moving on to your tuning, obviously there's a bunch of box tuning that you can just buy and install. Super easy to do. Not always the best combination for what you're trying to do with the truck. Of course, if you just want a tow tune or something like that, something slightly overstock, then you can't really go wrong with a decent little box tune that you just unbox, plug in, and you've got a little extra power. But I would highly suggest custom tuning, just to utilize all the hard parts that you've got on your truck to bring it all together in a final package. So me personally, I'm going to go with the EFI Live, and I know I can tune it to 500-600 horsepower. My truck will run pretty good and clean on that tune. And then if I ever want to add more horsepower down the road, all I have to do is send out to get a retune or a revised tune to upgrade. That being said, we are now going to move to the other category over here, which is also building blocks for a foundation, but this side is a little bit more influenced on what your final number is going to be, what you want to do with the truck. Is it going to be a street truck you just race your buddies with and turn up on the weekends? Is it going to be a full-blown drag truck? Is it going to be a street/drag truck? Is it going to be a sled pulling truck? You know, all these things need to come into factor. Is it going to be a tow rig? You know, all these things come into factor when you're purchasing these items, because don't get it twisted, there's nothing about this as a budget friendly build. All these things cost money, they're expensive, these are big heavy trucks, and nothing is cheap about them. But you also want to keep in mind your budget and what you're trying to do with the truck at the same time, so you're not purchasing the same item multiple times. I'll start with head studs. There's two main head studs in the game. There's ARP 2000s, ARP 625s. Their 625s are almost double the price, and there's so many questions out there for budget friendly people that are wondering if they actually need to step up or not. And it all comes down to insurance. Is basically how much insurance do you want that the head won't lift on your engine and you'll have a head gasket issue, because that can be a big problem for some people. You know, it's all about, I've seen the ARP 2000s hold a little bit more than they probably should, and I've seen them, you know, I've seen people say they have head gasket issues with either of the head studs. So it's all about a personal opinion on how much insurance you want to actually pay for. Me personally, if I'm going over 1,000 horsepower and I'm running big boost numbers with a big single or big compounds, I'm going to step up to the 625s. If I know personally I'm going to stay sub 1,000 horsepower and I'm going to keep my boost numbers to a little bit lower number, then I think I would be okay with the ARP 2000s. But like I said, it's a huge and it's a big investment when you look at comparing prices. So you just have to pick how much insurance you want to buy for your engine. Transmission is the same way. You can go to any trans builder and get, you know, a little bit better than stock rebuild, and it'll hold with a tuned intake and exhaust. But if you're looking to gradually go bigger and bigger, then it's probably better if you just take the transmission out one time, contact a trans builder local to you. They're all across the nation. Guys that mess with these 48REs or the G56 or the NV5600, whatever you have, get in contact with somebody who specializes in these Dodge transmissions and tell them what your goals are, what the end goal is with the vehicle, and they should point you in the right direction on what kind of hard parts you need to install, so you only have to pull it and get it built one time. Now, I'm not saying you won't have any issues with it, especially in your higher horsepower builds. You have to go through and refresh these transmissions, adjust things and stuff like that. But for the most part, your regular Joe Schmo guy can have a relatively built transmission and be able to drive it as much as possible without having a bunch of issues with it. But I cannot stress this enough. It is not something you want to skip on a budget build. You want to build it for more than what you're going to be doing with the truck, so you're sure that it's going to hold and be reliable for you and it doesn't leave you hanging somewhere. Same thing with the lift pump. You can buy a smaller gallon per hour lift pump with no filters on it, or even an external filter or in-tank filter, or intake lift pump system that only supports 700 to 800 horsepower. And if that's where you want to be, then that's perfectly fine. But if you ever want to upgrade, you've got to pull that pump off and upgrade to a bigger 165, 200, 220, whatever those numbers are for the gallon per hour, so you can get the fuel from your tank to your injection pump and then feed your engine. You want the whole thing flowing properly. I'm just going to throw my personal opinion in. I had a fast 165 on my old truck, worked perfectly fine, loved it, had zero issues with it. But with my new truck, I'm actually looking into the fleece intake pump, just because it says it can support up to 800 horsepower, and I don't have to add an external pump. I don't have to put a sump in. All of that works together, so it's just one system that can support that kind of horsepower, which is plenty for what I need. Okay, now that we've got the foundation covered, honestly, I had this laid out to do a bunch of power packages, or what it takes to have a solid tow rig or a clean racing truck, or big single combos. Honestly, there's so many different combos. Like, I don't have enough time. This video is long enough as it is to go over everything. I was thinking, like, why worry about that? You guys don't care about that. Firepunk has already done a video on some power packages on one of their Friday podcasts and stuff like that. So you're better off just to go check them out. They're way more knowledgeable than I am. There's no need for me to try to go through that and bore you guys with that stuff. Essentially, I'm just going to tell you one thing that I would recommend is just overbuild it. Basically, when it comes down to your fuel, your air, your transmission, your studs, your lift pump, I guarantee you whatever you build your truck to, you're going to get addicted to it. You're going to want more. So just overbuild it. That's the best advice that I can give to you, is go a couple steps up or one step up from where you think you're going to need to be, and just overbuild it. Just pay for it now. Get it over with. I know it's expensive, but mainly, guys, I just don't want you guys to have any regrets when you are building your truck. I want you to be happy with what you built it up to. And that's all it really comes down to, that you've built a clean, reliable truck that will get you where you need to go from point A to point B, have some fun along the way, and you can enjoy having a built diesel truck. And that's all I'm trying to do with this video, is just for anybody out there that just is not sure what to do or has a question and is afraid to ask on Facebook for getting bashed or something like that. This is some kind of video that they could click on, just a good foundation to get them started, and then they can go from there with their own opinion, with their own build, whether they're towing with it, racing with it, sled pulling with it, or just want a fun street truck. It's all up to them to build it to their standards, and with their budget in mind. So that's all I'm trying to do. Like I said, this is just kind of an informational video that I'm going to put in the comments of Facebook posts, just to try to reach that audience that doesn't have the knowledge that some of us have, with just being in the industry for long enough and spending the money on parts and just knowing what it takes to build one of these trucks. So again, I'm done boring you guys. I'm sorry for all the monologuing and the talking, but it was just the only way I could really get it across. Again, there's plenty of other people out there on Facebook or YouTube, way more knowledgeable. You know, they've got YouTube channels and they're just trying to spread the knowledge like I'm trying to. So yeah, check them out. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Again, I'm Calvin. It's Tacos, Turbos, and Toothpicks. A little turbo talk today, and you know, you never know, maybe we'll be talking about tacos tomorrow. So I hope you guys found some information here. Appreciate y'all stopping by, and good luck with your builds and have some fun with it. Maybe I'll see y'all at the track. Later.